What is going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop Luke. This will probably be the last preseason update for 2023, so let's get into it. So I wanted to make this video just to wrap up the 2023 preseason because we know that next Friday we are playing Geelong. The footy finally starts back up again and it is super exciting. There's not any more preseason games. That's all done. There might be a little bit more news. If there is, I'll make another video, but this video is just going to encapsulate the previous two preseason games and then a couple more bits of news. So let's get straight into it. What we'll do is we'll knock out the news first. Collingwood just confirmed that Patrick Lipinski will undergo shoulder reconstruction surgery on his shoulder that he dislocated against Hawthorn. Now, that is super disappointing, pretty much because, well, one of the main reasons is last October, he had shoulder reconstruction surgery on a bad shoulder, which was the shoulder that he just dislocated. So after, October, November, December, January, February, March. So 5 or so months after surgery on the bad shoulder, it pops out again and more surgery is needed, which is just a blow, not only to Collingwood's, the squad and stuff, but just to Patrick Lipinski. He was finally, he is such a major and important cog in this Collingwood team. Against Hawthorn, he was everywhere, kicked, I think, 2 really good goals. So he was sort of that midfielder that can push up, kick those goals, come back. Kind of like Treloar, maybe a little bit of an upgrade on Treloar as well. So, yeah, it's just really disappointing for him. We won't see him until the second half of the season. Hopefully he comes back and, he rehabs really well and he can play, football again this season. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe they give him a little bit more time, maybe comes through the VFL or something like that. But fingers crossed for Patrick Lipinski, speedy recovery, and we will see him after the bye. Another one is Jordan Goey. He was sent to the tribunal for that tackle that we talked about last week on Lloyd Meek. He got off. Amazing. He gets to play against Geelong next week. It really could have gone either way. He got fined $3,000, which kind of tells me that he may have gotten a week. I think what saved him was he didn't pin any of the arms. Lloyd Meek didn't have a concussion or anything like that. There was no free kick paid to my memory. I'm pretty sure there was no free kick paid. So those 3 things probably did save him from a week, but I think it was very testy. It could have been a week. Thankfully a fine, but a $3,000 fine is pretty hefty for something like that. It just kind of shows that the AFL or the tribunal is going for outcome as opposed to action, because that action of dumping is something that, they're trying to stamp out, but it looks like they're only trying to stamp it out if it leads to something else. But on the other hand, it's like, how else is Jordan Goey supposed to tackle a 200-centimeter player who's 100 and something kilos and, obviously taller than him without sort of that motion? So it's a fine line to tread, but thankfully Jordan Goey is lining up against Geelong next Friday. The third piece of preseason news that I wanted to talk about is Chloe Molloy from our AFLW team. Not sure if you follow it or follow what's going on, but Chloe Molloy, superstar, won the Rising Star, the AFLW Rising Star in her first year, which was 2017, I think. She signed with Sydney on the weekend or sometime last week, which is, look, really super disappointing. We lose an absolute superstar of the game who probably could go on to win a best and fairest. Her uncle, Jared Molloy, played for the club. All her family supports Collingwood. She loves the Pies. She wanted a new challenge. Sydney, or not Sydney, but the AFLW bring in this new concession for a bunch of the new clubs that just came into the competition. Sydney didn't win a game last year. They get to poach a really good player with experience from another club. They take Chloe Molloy off us. Devastated, sad. I love her so much. I love everything that she's done for the Pies. Thank her for that. Couldn't get to the promised land with her. But, I am just so happy for her to go into this another chapter in her footballing story. Hopefully she doesn't play well against us, but hopefully she does well in Sydney overall. Right, now to the crux of this video. Our last 2 preseasons, what do I rate them and what do I think going into this season? So I asked you guys on Instagram, actually, what did you rate our 2 preseason games? Answers varied from about 4 to 8.5, couple of 9. Someone said 10. So I don't think it was a 10 or a 9, but I'm thinking at least a 6.5 to a 7. I know we lost that game to Carlton. We beat Hawthorn, or just beat Hawthorn. With that game against Carlton, I feel like, and I said this in the video as well, I feel like it was just one of those games where you're finally playing competitive football that's not against, it's not an intra-club match or something. So the guys for both teams were just going at about 50%. We take off, whatever it was, a dozen players or so at halftime, give the kids a go, see what they can do. You try and experiment a little bit. So, that loss that we had to Carlton at Icon Park, you can kind of take that. You're going to go, okay, XYZ, this happened, but we got to see a lot of great things. We get to see Tom Mitchell in the middle. We get to see Nick Dacos running around in the middle. We get to see Bobby Hill, flying down those wings. We get to see Dan McStay taking a bunch of marks and being that forward target that we know he can be. So then that leads on to the Hawthorn game, which is an official practice game according to the AFL. Now that game, the first 15 minutes, like I said, magnificent. That is the Collingwood football we need to see in 2023. And then take the foot off the gas a little bit. Hawthorn come back. It's a bit of tug of war. We still win by 7 points or something like that. It is great. It was a great game. Another close game, of course. But I think that although we were probably both going at about 85%, it is a great look at what we're going to be doing in 2023, how we're going to line up. We saw Dan McStay and Brody Myercheck playing together. That's sort of the first time, or definitely the first time against proper opposition. So there's still a lot to work on. We even see more Bobby Hill, keeps a couple of goals. Patrick Lipinski I talked about, but I didn't mention this in the video, but I do want to make mention of Taylor Adams. Now, he ripped his groin off the bone, or whatever it was, back in that semi-final against Geelong. I don't know, man. I know football is very much, you can't say what if, but if Taylor Adams was playing against Geelong, then that last quarter or however long before he got injured, we'd probably go on to win that game. If he's playing against Sydney, we'd probably go on to win that game as well. Such an important cog in our midfield. And now we get to see him let loose a little bit because Tom Mitchell is now in that midfield. And I don't know what it is, but Taylor Adams played out of his skin against Hawthorn. And if that's the Taylor Adams that we're bringing into 2023, I am so bloody excited for that, because Taylor Adams is one of my favourite players at the Pies. Yes, he butchers the ball sometimes, but his kicking was on point against Hawthorn. Maybe, tearing his groin off, he needs to learn how to re-kick, or I don't know what it might be, but he was using the ball very well. Short kicks, good marks, couple of goals. Very excited. And then we see Tom Mitchell in the midfield, and just the link up with Jordan De Goey. Jordan De Goey, 31 disposals, 8 clearances or whatever it was. It was just magnificent. So you can see why I kind of gave it a 7. Maybe that's a little bit harsh. Maybe 7.5, maybe even an 8. I'm going to stick with 7 just because, we did lose to Carlton, a little bit more experiments, and there was a lot to be desired against Hawthorn. The defense was leaking goals, but like I said, everyone's going at 80%. No one wants to jump in, sort of thing like that. So I'm going to leave it at a 7. That's what I rate our 2 preseason games, but I am so excited for next Friday. From now until then, there's going to be a bunch of videos coming out. I'm going to have a new sort of video every week about, stocks, who I'm putting my stocks in and who I'm selling stocks from. You probably see that on I think the radio do it, and et cetera, et cetera. A couple of other people sort of do it. I thought, oh, cool, that's a really cool idea. I'm going to jump on that. Lots of exciting things coming up in the channel. If you have Collingwood supporter friends, link them, get them to sign up, or get them, to subscribe. That would be absolutely amazing. I want to get to 5,000 subscribers this season. We're really close to 4,000 as well. Very excited. But look, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. What did you rate our 2 preseason games out of 10? Let me know down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.